2022. What a year it's been. We emerged from the shadow of the pandemic. Though reluctantly, offices made the move to call employees back to office. It marked the end of remote work, the end of attending Zoom calls in athleisure, the end of working endless office hours and a return to the office. But little did employers know a changed workforce was resuming work. Their priorities had changed. Yes, change was in the air. I'm Hem Kaur Saroya and this is Office 2.0. Your Workplace Trends Report of 2022. Why does your workplace matter to you? What makes your office a sacred space? Why do we do what we do? It's a question we all must ask ourselves. Our jobs have come to define who we are, how much money we make, our personal ambition, our lifestyle, which is why it's high time we start caring. Fact, the average person will spend 90,000 hours at work over a lifetime. 90,000! It's fair to say your workplace will impact your quality of life. The year 2022 marked a return to office spaces for a global workforce. After 2 years of being locked down and working from home, and big changes followed. A bulk of offices said you have to return to the concrete jungle. We had US President Joe Biden urging Americans in March 2022 to return to in-person work. Big tech giants tweaked their own policies and played with hybrid work models. Many wondered, are remote jobs really disappearing? Yes and no. We saw a dip in remote working. One analysis found that just 1 out of 7 job postings on LinkedIn in the United States offered remote work as an option in October 2022. But a changed workforce demanded something else. After 2 years of being locked down, managing a grueling job with personal chores, workers knew that going back was not an option. They realized that the office was not the only space which mattered. Work from home meant that the home also took center stage. We reconnected with our loved ones, rejigged our priorities and demanded that our managers understand the same. So began the great return to office debate. Take a look at this survey. It's from December 2022. 41 biggest ideas that will change our world in 2023. It clearly says that the future is a balance between hybrid and remote work. A LinkedIn survey predicts that hybrid work is here to stay. Even if bosses wanted to run a tight ship, employees were in no rush to return to their desks. Flexibility became the name of the game. Women in particular drove the flexibility at work wave. Remember, during lockdowns, they had to carry the burden of juggling family with work, screaming kids, ailing elders, household demands. Women had to handle them all while attending Zoom calls. And so they are demanding flexible work options. In some cases, they won the battle. But unfortunately, headlines like these made the rounds more often than not. Do you work in HR? I bet most of us know what I'm talking about. With all this talk of flexibility, HR managers had to upskill. They had to learn on the job. Many firms were forced to pivot to hybrid or remote work in an ad hoc way. A nightmare for HR, and so we heard of a new job opening, the Chief Remote Officer or CRO. He or she had the rather difficult task of managing all expectations of bosses and workers, to manage smooth functioning in remote setups, to weave policies around work from anywhere, to ensure employees were meeting their KRAs while working an unconventional shift. Keeping the bosses happy, essentially, the CRO was the new bad cop in town. Bosses and managers were forced to change in 2022. With the demand for remote work, a new breed of managers emerged. Helicopter bosses. You know, the ones who micromanage your day from a distance. Newsflash, no one likes such bosses. They drove down productivity and created a toxic working environment. Surveys show that this constant needling led to walkouts of the workplace. And who can forget? Tech and artificial intelligence are coming for our jobs. It's a fear which has been dominating organizations for quite some time now. It's now a reality. Here are some stats. The World Economic Forum predicts that AI and automation will lead to the creation of 97 million jobs by 2025. While that spells good news, it may be time for you to upskill. Soon, your role could change or be made redundant. This is a trend which will be the norm in the new year. Repetitive roles may become automated. Lawyers could use tech to cut down on the time spent reviewing case histories to find precedents. Doctors could use tech to analyze scans for diagnosis. In retail and engineering too, job roles could evolve. So make sure you upskill. Now you would think with all this talk of flexibility, employees would be prioritizing work-life balance. Think again. There are bosses who are making headlines yet again for promoting working long hours, sleeping in the office, romanticizing the idea of slogging it out to mint money. This is exactly what hustle culture is all about, and Elon Musk seems to be bringing it back. There's no denying it, it's toxic. Recently, the founder-CEO of Bombay Shaving Company was also criticized for peddling a success mantra, which required working 18-hour workdays for 4 to 5 years. Well, Gen Z called out his bluff. Yes, Gen Z, the youngest generational cohort. This generation was perhaps the biggest influencer of office trends in 2022, and I mean both good and bad. They focused on diversity and inclusivity, but also walked out of jobs on a whim. They are the driving forces of change and also some questionable trends. Yes, we are talking about quiet quitting.